Greetings, ladies and melogents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Human Defense, written by Engletroll. What do you mean they didn't have a navy? What about planetary defense? Lieutenant Justar looked at his fellow officers. As they sat in the bridge officers' mess hall of the supercarrier SS Ugosha of the Bonarda Empire, Lieutenant Hartill grinned, his black-fanged teeth contrasting the bright red-scaled skin. Only missiles, cannons, and escape ships. Oh, and some warning being broadcast. These were mostly warnings that vengeance would come if we continued the attack. I can't believe you slept through the whole attack. Look, I have the evening duty. This is my breakfast and your dinner. I didn't expect the attack to be over so swiftly. I guess my job will be monitoring the shields of the dropships when I get up there. He yawned as he continued to eat as Lieutenant Chantil sat down. She was excited as well. Her bright green scales and yellow eyes glowed. Just Tar wanted to take her as his mate, but the officers had the first pick. She winked at him. Did you hear? The SS Gushin also took out a human colony. That one was even bigger and older than the one we took. Same thing. No defense, just a silly warning. This is going to be a short and successful campaign. We might get recommendations. You guys might even get breeding rights. She laughed as she grabbed his food and took a bite. You should hurry up and make a good impression on the captain. This is going to be easy. I hear the humans got more than 100 colonies, and we will jump to the next one in about an hour. Just Tar felt his heart beat faster at the news. That meant that he would be at the bridge for an attack. He could prove himself. He stood up. Take the rest, Shin. I'm going to the bridge. I don't want to miss this. They both looked at him, and Hartill looked at his sister. I think he wants to ask for you. She grinned at her brother. I'm not accepting a mere lieutenant. He needs to be a lieutenant commander before I accept. She turned to Justar. Well, get going. Earn that recommendation. Justar saluted them mockingly and headed towards the lift and the bridge. As she had said, the ship jumped to the next planet. The Admiral Narrated was in a good mood. Any ship? No, just transports trying to escape. We have targeted the planetary defense satellites. They are firing, returning fire. The whole ship rocked slightly as a missile from the satellite hit. Shields down 12%. The Admiral turned towards Lieutenant Justar. Are you sure? Justar double-checked the readings. Yes, shield back up to 100% now. The Admiral turned back to the screen, showing the planet. Maybe they do have better defense. Any more satellites? I'm tracking 14 more coming into firing rank. Recommend shooting them down. Justar didn't know why he was so brazen, but he didn't want the chance to miss this. Well, you heard him. Shoot them down. The Admiral smirked. We don't want to get in the way of our shield weapons analyzer's chance of mating. I mean recommendation. There was some chuckling from the other officers as the satellites were shot down, though two were able to fire, and the ship shook both times. Shields down 25% but recharging fast. The plasma fire seems to be specifically aimed at damaging our shield's frequency. Recommend changing frequency. You heard the lover boy. Change it and let the frigate take the hit if they fire again. I want to see if he's right. Justar had to concentrate on focusing on the job. Why was the Admiral so happy to help him get a recommendation? He shook the thought out of his head and focused on his screens. A frigate moved closer to the planet and was immediately but a cannon. With the adjusted frequency, its shields only dropped 5% and moved out of the satellite range. However, the satellite started to follow and the new shot was fired. The frigate's shield dropped by 15%. They adjusted to the frequency, shoot down that satellite, and have the shield fluctuate at random frequency. These are much more advanced than what was reported during the last attack. After he spoke the words, he realized he'd just given the Admiral command, and he looked up nervously. The Admiral simply forwarded his suggestion as orders with a smile on his face, and soon all satellites were shot down, and the planetary bombardment could start. Justar observed as the planet-side defense cannons were destroyed and the landing force was launched. The humans seemed to surrender immediately as the soldiers landed. It was strange. He looked over at the radar operator. Many ships incoming for their defense. The radar operator just shook his head. In fact, the only officer who seemed to have anything to do was the communications officer. He appeared to be listening to something and smirking. "Lieutenant Latour, what's so funny?" The lieutenant turned to him and turned on the sound. In perfect Sudasa, a voice was repeating in a loop. "This is the Human Defense Force. We have recorded that you have attacked our colony Janus 5. Stop the attack immediately, retreat to your own space, and await our representative to determine your punishment. We are not responsible for your damages if you do not heed this warning." All the officers looked at the communications officer and then started laughing. "Who do they think they are? They don't even have ships to respond with." Justar smirked and, just out of curiosity, transferred the signal to his console, and the alarm immediately went off. The laughter stopped and he went over the alarm. "The sneaky bastards! It's more than just a signal. Lock it out." Lieutenant Latour immediately closed the signal. As they all looked at him, the Admiral came over. "So what was it? What alarm went off?" He quickly scanned through the security report. "There's a program inside the message. They just downloaded our schematics and the whole memory bank. They used our own transmission system to send it to these coordinates in sublight. That might be where the ships are." The Admiral nodded thoughtfully. "You just earned that recommendation. Send the squad to those coordinates ASAP." Justar continued to work. These humans were intriguing. They had sacrificed several colonies for this intel. He started reviewing the war reports, finding several instances where intel had been stolen. Not only military intel, but civilian star maps, media gossip. The last 50 years of regular news reports. The humans were studying them. He barely noticed his shift was over as he transferred everything to his pad and walked towards his mess hall for dinner. Chantal grabbed the pad from him and sat down on his lap. "Congratulations on your promotion. Have you been thinking about choosing a mate yet? I know a lieutenant that is interested." She broke him out of his spell, and he looked up at her beautiful face and her lovely yellow eyes. "What promotion? What are you talking about?" She laughed, picked up the pad, and changed it to intern message board, where the new promotions were posted. He was no longer Lieutenant Justar, but Lieutenant Commander Justar. "Look here, City." Then she saluted him. "Lieutenant Commander Justar, I'm at your command." He looked at her. She should be on duty now, but she didn't seem to worry about not being at her station. "Did you have anything to do with this?" She shook her head innocently. "No, I didn't tell my grandfather about you." "Your grandfather is the second in command. If you didn't tell him." "Then I'm pretty sure he did not tell the Admiral. You sneaky little lovebird. You know that if I claim you, we will both be sent home for 3 years before we can be deployed again." She laughed. "Wow, 3 years on Homeworld with you working in the administration of Research Academy while we're breed for a year. The horror!" They both laughed as they embraced. 1 month later. "Lieutenant Commander Justar, here is your report." The aide handed him the crystal and left his office. He sat back and looked at the memory crystal. He dreaded what was on it. It was all their intelligence on the humans from the other alien nations. He input the crystal, and immediately several files popped up. The most important was from the Koska Empire, the only empire they feared, and it also had borders with humans. He started reading. Human Empire. Let us first note that there is no human empire. There are human nations under the leadership of the Emperor Cortez. He and his bloodline is a symbol to unify under, and his only domain is the defense of human worlds, something he has perfected. Any nation stupid enough to attack them will face the death of 1,000,000 cuts, as the humans call it. They only have a military fleet around the core worlds. These ships are all planet killers, from the freighters to the supercarriers, though they rarely will leave the system they are defending. Instead, the human empire uses an alternative method of punishing anyone attacking their colonies. The late Sadukan Empire was one of their victims. Justar stopped for a second. He remembered reading about the Sadukan Empire. They and the Kruska Empire were vassal states under them. Their fall was strange. They just had several unfortunate incidents. Their royal bloodline was killed in several freak accidents. Their stock market imploded and made their currency worthless. The corruption in their senate became so blatant that the military committed a coup, which led to a civil war. During the Civil War, their best ships and weaponry were sold or stolen by pirates. Within 10 years, they went from the most powerful empire to a backward planet and the butt of everyone's joke. Even the Seducan slaves was amongst the cheapest that you could get. No risk of anybody defending them. Wait, that was not true. Lately, there has been a movement to free slaves, even the Seducan ones. But what did this have to do with the humans? He continued to read. The humans sent their operatives to execute vengeance. This group is often referred to as the Wild Hunt and are experts in destruction of society. Just as jaw hung open, are the humans the Wild Hunt? Oh, frack. He sat in shock as a pad buzzed. It was Chantil with a short message. Oh my gods, the Crown Prince and his family just died in a shuttle crash. It's horrible. End of story. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters. Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Draxzoon WRE, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, John Carrington, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.